I love doing the little fake fire thing.
Awesome fire intro, Scott. What is going on, everybody? What is going on? Welcome to this week's episode 69 of the STS Guys. I am Jeremy.
Hey guys, it's Nate.
And I'm Scott.
And Larry is out
We
this
are the
week.
STS Guys, a weekly podcast where we sit around, shoot the shit, and talk about anything geeky, nerdy, and cool. We are one member short this week.
Yeah, I hope this doesn't become a trend because it was me last week, and then this week, Larry. Damn you, prior life engagements.
Yeah, Larry's out this week, but he's with us in spirit. And as you can tell, Jeremy is mid-move right now, so he's joining us from his phone, but he still made it tonight, so we appreciate that, Jeremy.
I am dedicated. I am dedicated to the podcast.
You are so dedicated, and we appreciate that. So it's been a week, guys.
Yes, a very exciting week for a couple different things. Like we had some new games, some TV to watch. Like there was a lot of new stuff that came out here. That's definitely been keeping up our time.
Yeah, Netflix is dropping fire. Capcom is dropping fire.
Blowing it up.
I see what you did there, Nate.
Yeah, and if you guys loved those old Resident Evil games, especially number 2, Capcom dropped a bomb on Friday with the Resident Evil 2 remake. I got a chance to play it in the one shot, and I was, at first, like, I don't know, the one shot just wasn't getting me super excited, even though I was like, man, this looks amazing. But as soon as I booted up the main game, and you start that scene where he's on the highway, and the trucker hits the zombie, it just got me into the whole experience, and I couldn't put the controller down. It's so good.
Yeah, it really captures the feel of the original Resident Evil games, and like I said, especially Resident Evil 2, right? It really has that 1998 feel to the game, while updating everything for kind of more of a modern time. The graphics are great. The motion to, instead of that fixed camera view, to the over the shoulder. I didn't know 100% how I was going to like it, but I love Resident Evil 4. So moving it to that camera, it makes a lot of sense for this.
Yeah.
I am literally so jealous that you guys have gotten to play this. And like I said, it's going to be probably a month before I even get to touch this game. So I can't wait to hear what you guys like about this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be worth the wait, man.
Yeah.
Did you play the original Resident Evil 2, Jeremy?
I did. Like I said, that was actually one of my favorite games back in the day. Like, I just I love that, love that series. It's just so weird holding my phone like this. I just, like I said, it's just, that's one of those games that I was like waiting to come out for, and then I totally forgot it came out. And honestly, Nate, until I saw some of your screenshots of you playing, like I said, on one of your stories, I'm like, oh man, that came out today. And then I'm like, got all excited. I'm like, I'm gonna go play. Oh wait, no, I'm not.
Oh wait, I'm
in a moving truck,
and I don't have my PlayStation right now.
Yeah.
My PlayStation's on a semi right now, someplace.
It'll be worth the wait, man.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. Once it finally does, once I finally do get to play that, because like I said, it sounds like it's going to be a pretty good game.
Yeah, dude. No, they did a really great job of porting that to the modern time. Like, one of the best updates was back in the day when they did the update to modern, or the Resident Evil 1, when they did the GameCube remake, where they kind of updated all the graphics and controls, and everything. Like, that was one of the best Resident Evil games, and I think that this one, as a remake, blows it out of the water.
Yeah. I mean, like Scott's alluding to, like, I've played other remakes before, and they didn't feel as fresh as this one does. There's something about the way that they redid the graphics, they redid some of the gameplay. Like Scott said earlier, it plays kind of like Resident Evil 4, but even a more polished version of that. And it feels fresh to me. Like, I'll admit it, I don't think I finished Resident Evil 2 the first time I ever played it, but now playing it older, I have much more appreciation for the puzzles and just the way the game sets itself up. It keeps things interesting. Sometimes you'll traverse back into older territories, but it's because you've found new items that you can unlock a different area, because it's all about like accessing more and more and more to get further and further into the game.
It definitely falls into that trap of what they call the Metroidvania game, right? You have to go to section A to get this key, which opens up section B, and then something in B opens C, which you need to open up a lock area in A to get a critical item. Like, so you're going back and forth, getting new items and kind of moving around. So that's still kind of is a pain point, but that was in the original game. Like, changing that, I think, would do a disservice to the game itself, right?
Yeah.
Like,
and to be honest with you, like, I think we've talked about this before, but I get a little bit tired of playing the open world games all the time. Like games like Red Dead Redemption, even though they're amazing, you have this huge world to discover. And the thing that I like about Resident Evil 2, at least it feels like a change of pace for me now, is that it's a little bit of a smaller world, but you still feel like you have some freedom to kind of explore. There's the customization factor, so you can customize your weapons. There's different things you can find and unlock along the way. So I kind of like the old school feel to it. It just makes it refreshing to me. I don't know.
Yeah. Now, one thing that I will say is the negative to this, and it's something that plagued the original game too. I fucking hate the inventory system. It was in the original. They've tried to bring it back. Resident Evil 5 had that same setup where you have, you start with like 8 blocks, and then as those fill up, then you can get things to increase your blocks. But like a pistol and a shotgun take up the same amount of space as like an herb, right? Like, it kind of annoys me. I really thought that they hit a great stride when they went to Resident Evil 4 and you had the briefcase.
Yeah.
Right? You had that puzzle, and so you could fit more stuff, but bigger things took up more space and you had to like rearrange stuff to fit it better. That was an amazing addition, and they've never done that since.
I agree with you.
It's really strange to see.
It's funny that you say that, because I was expecting the inventory to be like that, because that's the last time I remember how the inventory was when I was playing a Resident Evil game. And then, to your point, it's back to these 1 slots, and a gun takes up the same amount of space as like an herb. And it seems like you're constantly hitting that ceiling of having too much inventory. So like you said, I have to keep going back to like the little supply crates that they keep at each typewriter, and the typewriters are what you use to save. So I feel like I have to go back to that a lot, especially when I've opened up a new puzzle, because I'm like, oh, I put that piece back in my chest. So let me go back to the chest, get that out. Oh, okay, now I past that door is another piece that I put in my chest. It kind of gets really irritating. I wish the inventory was a little bit more streamlined. Yeah. And as you guys noticed, Jeremy dropped out. He's trying to help join and get into the chat, but he is not at his home, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult. But he'll keep in the comments with us.
Well, and we're going to hopefully try to get him back on here if we can. So let's see here. I'm actually going to, before we continue with this, let me send one back, try to get him back on here.
Sure. Yeah, if you guys are just joining, we are talking currently about Resident Evil 2 and me and Scott's thoughts on the game.
Yeah.
We both, so far, really enjoy it.
So, yeah. So here's the thing that I was worried about in the game, and I will say they handled this brilliantly, is with the game and the way it runs. Hey, Jeremy's back.
Jeremy's back. What's up, man?
So with the original game back in 1998, they actually used that fixed camera to their advantage a lot in using kind of some transition points to hide zombies. Right. So they could, you'd never see anything, but the second that you move to a different fixed position, all of a sudden there would be enemies right in front of you. And that was their way of kind of doing the jump scare.
Right.
Right, at that point was, oh, here's that thing that's gonna, now it's jumping out at you. I was worried now that that camera is always behind you. You don't have those transitionary positions that they could use for that, and I was worried that it was going to lose some of that impact.
Yeah. Are you playing the game with headphones by chance, Scott?
Not yet, no. I
Okay.
use, but I have a surround sound system. So if you're getting at
Yeah.
like how they actually have the really good use of sound
Yes.
works out really well. But
Yeah, Jeremy, I'll suggest when you first play this, play it with headphones because
Okay.
even though if you have surround sound, I'm sure it sounds just as nice. But man, I don't have the best headset, but they do something to make the audio sound so 3D that I can hear things back here. You get into a new area and it kind of freaks you out because you hear all these sounds around you. It really adds to the experience.
Yeah. So as I say, yeah. So what they do is they use sound, and then if you noticed, they did really good with basically compensating for those fixed camera jump scares with the use of the flashlight.
Yes.
Right. So a lot of those transitionary points they've made darker. So when you
Mhm.
go in, you only have that circle of kind of light that you can really see clearly in front of you. And so they can use where, just slightly around a corner that they know you're not going to be looking with that light right off the bat to
Yep.
have that zombie come out at you.
Now,
Or
let me ask this. So does it play like a remade game, or does it play almost like a brand new game that's just done in the Resident Evil 2 style?
No, that's a hard question. I would almost say this: it's an in between, right? So if you
Okay.
look at like Spyro, it's the exact same game, just updated, right? Like new graphics, kind of overhaul, but they didn't change any of the guts of the game. This one is they've made some modifications to the puzzles inside the game, but for the most part, it is the same game. But you have a whole brand new camera system, brand new controls, and a slightly altered map to accommodate for that.
Mhm.
And there are some new, I wouldn't say new puzzles that are big, but some of like the locks and different things that are locked in the game that you shouldn't be able to access without finding like a clue are different from what they were in the original 1998 game,
Mhm.
just because of that thing. So it's not like a style game where
Yeah.
it's completely different. Like if you knew that you had to go through this room and that go up to the second floor and make your way up to the third floor to get the C4, use the C4 to blow up the wall, like that is all the same, but it does play completely different, and it acts differently because of the way the camera system is set and the way that it behaves is completely different from what you would expect.
Yeah.
So it's a good happy medium for what you're asking.
This is what I would want a remake to be. Something that feels familiar but also feels fresh, because the original Resident Evil came out back in like 1998 and I haven't touched the game since. So for me, playing this now feels like a brand new game almost. Like it feels fresh. Like Scott said, the improved controls, the graphics are amazing. Like these are some of the best looking zombies I've ever seen in a game. Like
But
legit, every single one of them.
we have to talk about, like, I have not seen yet once a recycled model.
Yeah, me either. They all
So
look unique and they all act like, I don't know. It's just it's scary in a way because they don't respond to your gunfire. Like they don't get hurt.
Yeah.
They'll take multiple shots to the head. So you're like, Jesus, when is this guy going to go down? And then when they do go down, sometimes they'll pop back up unexpectedly.
and
And
takes
it
another
really-
3 to 4 shots.
Yeah,
to
it
drop
adds
him.
to the suspense. And sometimes
Yeah.
you'll see like a leecher just hanging on a wall. You're like, holy shit, I don't want to piss that off.
Yeah, you gotta walk slow. And this one is actually really good because they did this weird kind of a cool setup where they actually have damage to the zombies. So when you shoot it in the face, you actually tear off a chunk of its face.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And
that's cool.
And it
That's
legit, you
awesome.
actually see, like, I blew off a thing's jaw at some point, and it was like, still
Yeah.
coming at me. Like, they did a really good job of showing, like, yeah, your damage is taking effect, but these are not like your shitty, like, one shot to the head zombies. I'll say they're not Walking Dead zombies, right? Where it's just
Yeah.
like slow, stupid, you shoot them in the face. Like, They're slow. You can still run around them. Sometimes I still occasionally get grabbed when I think I'm in the clear.
Yeah.
But yeah, like one shot to the head is not going to be enough.
No.
And they move quick. Like they're really slow, but then when they get sight of you and they're within reach, they lurch forward at you trying to grab you, and it is very hard to peg that headshot.
Yeah, it makes it really suspenseful because they get too close. Like Scott said, they kind of lurch at you. And one thing I noticed is that the enemies are unique in a way that they move. So sometimes they'll just be kind of bobbing back and forth, but all of a sudden they'll turn their head a little bit. So you're aiming at them thinking that they're going to stay in the same path, but they change. So you have to kind of like change on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
It just, I don't know. The game itself just feels challenging. And that is one thing I love about it. It doesn't feel easy, even though it feels familiar.
So
that was one of the things I was looking forward to, like from E3. Like, so when they showed the initial trailer of it, I'm like, okay, this had some good concepts and some things, because they remade some of the Final Fantasies and things like that. So I'm like, okay, it's just gonna be another remake. But kind of to your point, Nate, I wanted something a little bit more fresh. I said if I'm going to be spending $60 for a brand new game, I just don't want a remake. I said I've played the original. Yes, it's got updated graphics, and I may not have played it for a long time. Yeah, that's all great. But I want some aspect of it to be a little fresher, so that way it keeps my interest. And it's not just the way that you two guys are actually describing it. This makes me want to play it that much more, just because it sounds like you guys are both excited to play this game.
Yeah.
But basically, it's based on a premise from something that's 20 years old. Like it's
right.
Dude, and I totally agree with what you're saying. I even told Scott this. Like, man, I earlier this week I was like, I don't know if I'm going to pick it up on Friday. 60 is a lot for a remake of a game that I played, back in 1998. But I think maybe that's the one negative for me, is that it shouldn't be, maybe not full price. I don't know. It's hard to say because of all the positive things we've said about it. They really did invest a lot of time into this remake.
Right. Making it a new, it really is a new game. And it's really hard to say that because the framework for it's 20 years old, and they put a whole new game within that same framework. So it's really hard to be like, is this going that same quality of like a remake? Like, do we put this in the same bucket of Spyro's, remake and all those that are coming out? Or do we consider this a new game? And it's really hard for me to say. Like, it is in that gray area in between, and it makes it really hard to judge.
Yeah.
I think maybe we should coin this as, I said, I think this is what should be the official STS Guys saying. I think this should be hybrid remakes.
Remake.
It's not necessarily just a straight remake. It's got some fresh content in there as well.
Yes.
But like I said, it's that hybrid remake.
Yeah, and there's fresh visuals too. And it's not like big things, but like there's this one part in the beginning of the game where you're trying to save a cop that's trapped behind this kind of like sliding locked door. And you kind of help get him out, but this is a visual they didn't have in the original. In the original, you just find the guy's body in half.
He's dead already. Like, he's already gone. What you see in this remake has already happened.
Yeah,
right.
But in the remake, there's an entirely new cutscene that it shows you what happens to that guy and why he ends up that way. And it's little things like that that have been really adding to the experience for me, because it helps just immerse you into the experience that you're in. And to kind of go with content, even though, so you start out with two different characters. You can be Leon Redfield.
Leon Kennedy or Claire Redfield.
Yeah, sorry.
Yep.
Leon Kennedy or Claire Redfield. And there's two different scenarios for both. So there's scenario A for both players. So once you finish both players in scenario A, then unlock scenario B, which is a different story.
Mm-hmm. So, and that was all kind of the same thing from the original. That you had those, the different scenarios. The great thing I love about this is they included everything, including those two secret unlockable campaigns from RE2, are also included in this game.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like I said, but at the same point in time, it also makes me feel so old. I'm like, I remember physically playing this game.
So
20 years ago.
So Jimmy, here's one thing that I think you'll really enjoy about this new version, though. On the normal and easy difficulties, there is no longer a need for ink ribbons.
That's true. You can save anytime you want to.
You can save at any point, and the game auto saves at key points so that if you die and you haven't saved in a while, it will put you to its nearest auto save versus going back to your last save,
which is a huge help when you get into the boss battles.
Because I had that first time, it wasn't the first licker I ran into, but the second one after I set off the C4.
Yeah.
Another, which is different from the original game, because that's the first time you should see him, but it was the second time I seeing it in that one. But a zombie was also in that room, which was brand new. So when I was trying to like sneak past the licker, because they've maintained the whole idea that if you walk really slowly, you don't make noise, it can't hear you, it won't attack. But that fucking zombie kept attacking me, so I had to shoot it in the face, which made that damn thing chase after me. So I was like, all right, before I go and solve the puzzle, I have to go kill that little bastard, and then like do this whole thing. It was I lost my train of thought, to be honest with you there.
I was like, where's it going?
Yeah, I don't know, but
hey, come on, spit it out.
Dude, I actually don't know anymore. So I died a couple of times, and instead of putting me back to my last save, which was well before that, I had that first like, oh fuck moment when I got killed the first time, because it's like I haven't saved in forever. I was like, shit.
Yes.
And then it popped me up right before I turn on get the chance to do the puzzle.
Have you got to the first? Thank God. Have you got to the first boss, Scott?
The first real boss?
Yeah, with the eye in his shoulder. Yeah, that was my first time.
The G virus. Yeah,
that was the first time that I died. And that's one thing I love too. The deaths are unique to the enemy that you're fighting. So if you're fighting just regular zombies, you'll get bit in the neck. Yeah, you'll just keep getting tore up until you die.
I will tell you this. I in the one shot, I died by the zombies, and they tear the living shit out of you when the death animation for it is not pleasant.
Dude, I love watching. It's like I was saying earlier. The zombies look amazing, and the deaths look awesome. Like you see a lot of people die. You see yourself get attacked, and it just looks so nasty. It makes you not want to get attacked again.
You see the damage. When you get bit in the neck, you have a big old tear in your neck until you use the sprayer and herb.
Well, and as you lose health, you go from fine, which is full health, then caution, and you start limping a little bit, and your guy kind of grunts. And then you have danger, which is red. And that means if you get hit again, you're going to die. And you're bleeding. You're lumbering, your walk's all off. It's just cool. It adds to the suspense because fuck, I am fucked up right now. I need to go find some health or something.
I need to figure out a way to heal myself, because I am not going to make it.
And the game does a good job of making you feel like your resources are scarce at most times. You never have a ton of ammo. You never have a ton of health.
That was going to be the next thing I was going to ask. Do they keep the same kind of resource scarcity that kind of follows that series of games?
When you see a zombie, you do always have to make that judgment call of do I have the resources now to kill that, knowing it's going to take 4 to 6 up to 8 shots to kill this damn thing. Do I use those resources now, or do I just run past it? Right? Because most of the zombies in the game you can just run past.
Mm-hmm.
They're slow enough that you can leave them just like you could in the original, run around them, and just know that there's always going to be one of them little bastards in that corridor every time you come back. Do you kind of take out that, or do I kill it so I know that it's he's down for when I come back through?
Yeah,
and they do make it so that is every time I see a zombie that you look at your med, you look at how many shots do I have in the pistol? Do I have health in case he gets too close? What do I have in my inventory right now? And can I try to kill this thing, or do I have to try to find a way to get around it?
Yeah, it's kind of like that risk versus reward. Should I spend the resources to get past this thing, or is there nothing in this room that I should really be worrying about? And that's why like a lot of the rooms you really have to scour to make sure you're finding everything,
Right.
because you need to keep collecting as you're going, so that you're collecting on your health and your ammo and all that other stuff.
I will say they did the other good addition that they added to the game is on the map. Once you see items in a room, or once you enter a room, any items that are in the room are actually placed on your map, so that you know what's in there. So if you have to leave something, like handgun ammo or whatever, when you can look at your map and be like, shit, I am out. Can I get back to handgun ammo? Where was the last place I saw it? And actually find your way back to it. So it actually highlights it back on your map, which they didn't do in the original. Right, so this one actually at least lets you know what's in that room, or what did I miss in there, or is there anything really that I have to go back for?
See, that's nice. So let me ask you this: so when because you had mentioned about the saves before, does it automatically revert everything back to your inventory that you used, or is the inventory used up until the save?
No. So anything that you had in your inventory like from the save point on is reverted back, right? So it's a fresh save. It's a fresh start. So it's not like some of those survival games that are like, you died, what's in your inventory is gone. Like, no, like you still keep all that.
Yeah.
Like everything. So,
and there's a separate, there's an inventory chest at each save point. So if you have too much inventory, or if you need to open up some slots for the next area that you're going to explore, then you can put some stuff in that chest to keep going.
Yeah. The other thing too that I did like is the addition of sub weapons that they added to this one. So you actually have like the idea of so you have a knife, like Leon has in 3, but it works well. But if something grabs onto you, you can use a knife to like stab it to like not have it bite you. Right. The problem is if you lodge a knife in a zombie's chest, the only way you're getting that knife back is you have to kill that fucking zombie to get that knife back. Like it's lodged in that thing until it's done, and it only has a number of uses before you're not getting it back.
Yeah, it's pretty cool because, to Scott's point, you can use these different sub weapons as basic like counters for an attack. Yeah. So one of them is a knife. You can throw a flashbang in the guy's mouth and then kick him back and shoot him in the head.
There's detonates the flashbang in the fucking zombie's mouth.
Yeah, you can do like that with a grenade. I mean, it's cool. I don't want to go on too long because there's other stuff we want to talk about too. But I think if me and Scott have said enough positive things, if you have any doubts about the game, if you're a mega fan, go out and buy it. If you maybe want to wait to see if you can get a price reduction, that's cool too. But we are giving it 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, no, honestly, I think it's running right now at about a 91 on Metacritic, and it definitely deserves that rating.
Yeah, that's like, about what I would score it. It's like a high 90.
Right. It's got a great mix of challenge versus gameplay, at least on the normal mode. I have not tried it on hardcore, which puts it all back to the original, like you need the ribbons, that sort of thing. At least on the normal mode, it's a great halfway point between like challenge and fun, where like you're not going to breeze through this game at any point unless you switch it to the easy mode, which has like auto headshots and like that sort of thing.
Don't play it on easy mode. If you want to experience a horror game, do not play it on assisted because it's just holding your hand the whole time.
Yeah. But on the thing, it's a great mix of that. And you'll never feel like you're completely like vulnerable, but you never get that feeling, at least not so far. And like I said, we're about maybe halfway, a third of the way through the main camp, at least that one person's campaign right now. You never feel like that regular zombie is like, just one regular zombie. That's not a challenge. Like at no point is that ever going to be uttered. Like just your run-of-the-mill zombie is always going to be a pain in the ass and is going to be a challenge, which makes this game great.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's the thing, is like at no point do you feel safe, but you have at least a small area of comfort.
Yeah. No, I can't wait to play it. I'm literally just by your guys' positive thoughts, like has me stoked to play it.
Like I will say Nate, I will give it this. I've always, ever since I've seen some videos for this, I've been excited for this game. Nate, hearing all the positives that he has for it, because he was very apprehensive for it, playing through it. Like, I know he was like, I really like it, but like, I don't know if I'm going to get it. To hear that you bought it and that you've been playing the living crap out of it like I have, shows that like we both are like, this thing is amazing and is probably one of the best games that I've played so far in terms of like keeping that horror, keeping that survival aspect, and still remaining really fun.
Right. Yeah, I was definitely on the. Go ahead, Jeremy.
No, I was going to be like you, Nate, and like I said, I wasn't necessarily going to buy this game right away. And I was going to assume that I was just it's one of those games I actually didn't pre-order. Except normally, I say with all the games that I know I want right away, I said I'll end up pre-ordering like God of War and Spider-Man and like I said and everything else that's come out. And this is one that I didn't pre-order just because I'm like I'm going to be on the fence. I'm gonna wait till like people play it first. But like I said, just literally hearing you guys talk about it, like I said, literally makes me want to go. Like that's gonna be a game. Like I said, once I basically unpack my shit, like then I'm gonna go and play.
Yeah, I think you'll really like it. Like Scott said, I was wavering, but I took the plunge, and I'm so happy that I did because I liked it a lot better than I thought I would. And like Russ said, it's challenging, but it's also very rewarding once you start progressing through certain areas and you get past an area that's been holding you back. And also, it's extremely punishing. And, you know, we all like punishment. So if you guys like Netflix and you have Netflix, hopefully you checked out Punisher Season 2 because that's segment 2 of the STS Guys tonight. We're going to talk about Punisher 2 and our thoughts.
Lots of dead things in this episode.
Real quick, just because I get two things. One, Nate, that was an awesome segue. Like
I like that transition.
I was like, it's like normally I said Larry does it and I've done it. I'm like, you know what? I said you get the Golden Globe for this week. Like I said, that was an awesome transition.
Yes, that means a lot coming from you, Jeremy. Thank you.
Just because I can't see it, who all do we have in the chat? Because like I said, we record our podcast on YouTube live every Saturday at 9 p.m. 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Like I said, but you can listen on Spotify, you can listen on iTunes, Google Play, whatever you want. But if you're online, definitely join us in the chat because we love to hear from you.
So let's go through it right now.
Scott, who do we have in the chat today?
So today in the chat, we have The Scenes 01, RLM's Comics and Collectibles, and Krish Hero have all jumped in to say hello.
Nice. Yeah, RLM Comics and Collectibles, that's Russ, man. I think he's changed his name. I like the new name, Russ. Thanks, guys, for being here. We appreciate it. Yeah. So, like I said, we're going to talk some Punisher.
Punisher Season 2.
On Netflix. What was it? It
was
last Friday. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been a week. So here, can I give my like one word review for Punisher?
Yes.
It's because dude, like I had to say John Bernthal does a wonderful job of that, but he like does that weird like bark growl thing that he's like at things like when he's killing stuff. Like middle of the day he'll be like, hey,
like, Scott, it's so funny that you mentioned that because literally in episode 1, I'm like, that's the thing that I immediately got drawn to, especially in that bar scene in episode 1.
Yeah, where he gets up people's attention. He does that weird, like, guttural, like, yell
it's
bark
thing. Like, it literally reminds me of the power-up from Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
Like,
like, dude, is he going to Super Saiyan?
Yeah, he's going to go Super Saiyan.
I don't know what's going on. Like, yeah, it's either he's gonna Super Saiyan or he's gonna poop his pants. I don't know what he's doing, but it's one of the two. Yeah, like that's the thing. That's my one word review for Punisher is just that weird noise thing.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, I think I've said this before, but man, Bernthal is such a perfect cast for that character because he plays that pissed off killer really, really well. But yeah. It was funny you guys were talking about that because I've been like runting around my house. My girlfriend's like, "What the hell's wrong with you?"
I've been watching The Punisher.
I don't want to wash these dishes, bruh.
Oh, yeah. Like, what is that? Why did I get that? I was like, oh,
Yeah.
It's because of the way that he yells at the character. Like every time, like he in that scene, I think it's the logo for this week's episode when he's out in the middle of the street, and to get everyone's attention, he just grunt yells like to get everyone to look at him. He's like Russo, and they look, and he's like, oh,
I think we dubbed this the growl.
the growl,
Yes.
the
Yes.
growl,
Yeah.
yeah, it's the
It's
growl
the
yell.
growl yell. It's the growl.
That is awesome.
So let's kind of break down this real quick. So episode 1, though, like I said,
Okay, Jeremy, can I hit this because people can't that are probably watching this right now can't see too much, but Jerry, I love how you're laying all cozy, comfy. You're like you're laying like I imagine every 16-year-old girl lays when they're talking to their crush.
Yeah, like I'll even kick my feet up.
There you go.
I don't have a chair.
Russ says to do the Bernthal growl at a drive-through. That'd be great.
Oh, I could totally I want some fries.
Give me some fries.
Go with surprise.
There's no ketchup on my burger.
Oh, that's just when you go to like, excuse me, sir, can I help you? Oh, like, yeah. God, I love how we devolved into just us like grunt yelling. Like so. Let's go into this. So, just kind of first thoughts outside of the grunt yell. What did you guys think of season 2 compared to season 1?
Still awesome, but not as good as season 1 in my opinion.
Now, I am kind of the same way. Season 1, I said I think the development of the character, I think that really kind of tied home to me. Like I said, especially with like original comic book type of story to it, like especially with the whole like micro story, and like I said, that one had basically a sub story that wasn't such a separate sub story. It just ran perfectly alongside Punisher's main story, kind of versus this season.
I did not kind of really like the fact that there was two. It was almost like this season was 2 sub stories versus having a main and a sub.
Exactly. Yeah.
I felt like it was 2 kind of sub stories that they tried to like, we'll just play them both at the same time, and it becomes a season.
Yeah. They're focusing a lot on Billy Russo and building his story, and then they focus a lot on Frank. And like you guys said, it feels like it's 2 main characters because it's these 2 guys separated almost the whole show, and it's not until maybe episode 9 that they actually see each other for the first time.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of buildup in between, and it just kind of, there's just not the big, like Jeremy said, it felt like season 1 was much more built around learning about the character and what happened with his family and all that stuff. And season 2 is just more of like, he's just kind of chilling. All of a sudden bad things start happening, and then Billy Russo gets thrown into the mix as being this main villain that's also very angry. I guess that's one of my other big things is Billy Russo doesn't seem like as a diverse character. He seems like a clone of Punisher. It's like this angry military guy that doesn't know what happened to him, but he's just pissed off because it did.
Yeah, I really wish that they would have gone with a more classical Jigsaw in this one versus I realize they tried to make a realistic version of it, right? Like like he got messed up royally, but it's more of like his mental state that's the Jigsaw puzzle, not like his face. Because in the comics, he's always an evil character, right? Like Billy Russo is just an evil, sadistic fuck, and the only difference is Punisher fucks up his face, right? Like
so literally, like I said, if you look at Warzone, I said how they did the whole Jigsaw story. I said that was perfect. Like I said, as weird and kind of dumb as that movie was in some aspects, I said I did like kind of like the origin story of Jigsaw in that movie.
And it was exactly Jigsaw is not a different before and after, right? His mess up. He's just more angry specifically at Frank Castle after getting his face all messed up. Like he's still a mob boss that enjoys killing people. Like he always has been that.
Yeah,
this Billy Russo,
pre-hamburger face and post-hamburger face.
Yeah,
like he was still the
This Billy Russo was just a piece of shit, and then like gets his face all messed up, and Frank puts his head through a mirror a couple of times and into a fucking wall to the point where he's brain damaged a little bit. And so like I think it's a more realistic look at like a character like Jigsaw, right? Like I just have to take away the comic book version of Jigsaw out of my mind, and I can enjoy Billy Russo.
No,
because I think it's like
agree.
After what happened, I can see why that character, like, he doesn't remember all the bad shit that he did. He's still thinks that all these people are his friends that he tried to kill in the last season. And oh yeah, he got like his head caved in by the Punisher at the end of season 1. Like, he's messed up, and he's basically doing exactly what he did in the first season was get a bunch of ex-military guys together to do some black ops shit and illegal stuff. And in this season, he gets a bunch of ex-military guys to start committing some crimes. Like, he's doing exactly what his kind of nature is to do. Well, so it makes sense why they played him that way and what he does in the series.
Right. And I think they do something odd because they introduce this guy. I think his name's the Pilgrim.
John Pilgrim.
Yeah. So Pilgrim is an interesting new villain in the beginning, and it's pretty intriguing because you don't know who this guy is, but he's definitely got some serious connections.
And skill.
Frank's going up against some guys that are connected to him, and they all seem like they're trained. But then all of a sudden, it's like that guy's still in the background, but then the focus just becomes about Billy Russo. And it's like that focus for at least 4 or 5 episodes. And then the Pilgrim guy comes back a little bit later. Yeah. But I just felt like it was such a wasted opportunity. They should have had those guys working together from the beginning.
So, Jeremy, you knowing the Punisher very well, John Pilgrim is a brand new character, but do you remember the Mennonite, which was I think a single run that they had in the Punisher?
Yeah, it was right after Warzone, after the Warzone for the comic books.
Yes, right after the Warzone comic books, they had the whole Mennonite storyline. John Pilgrim is kind of a retelling of the Mennonite, but not the same type of guy. So he's kind of the leader of, I guess he kind of has like a bunch of followers that are killers for hire for kind of some shady people, and he's kind of the leader of it, but he's also like kind of their like ace killer or whatever. Like he's the best way to describe it is he's a fixer for some very well connected people. If they have a problem, he fixes that problem.
Yeah, and you know what that whole storyline reminds me of is it reminds me of the father from Far Cry, the last Far Cry.
Yeah. Like
his followers basically, he has this leadership style, and these followers will basically go through and do any type of bidding that he has, and will carry it out.
Yeah, but like I do enjoy his kind of characterization. Like, we'll kind of spoil some of the early parts because but not some of the endings. But when he's at the police station and he wins that deputy, and he's like, all right, like, give me what I want, because you got about 3 or 4 hours before that guy bleeds out and dies. Like, I didn't flat out kill him. I could have, but I didn't. Like, you can save him. It's on you to save him. Give me what I want, and you walk out of here. Like, I do like his character in the fact that he's not, like, he's a cold-blooded killer when he needs to, but he knows when to negotiate or kind of where things get into his favor. So let me ask you this, though, in regards to John. Nate, I think you said you're on about episode 9 or 10, right?
I just got done with 9. I'm going to 10. Yeah.
So finish your thing. Jeremy, how have you seen beyond that?
No, I'm on episode, just because of my situation right now, I'm on episode either 5 or 6.
Okay. So later on, and I think, Nate, you're right about the point where you actually get to see where kind of who's pulling the strings, which makes it even a more interesting aspect of the series. Is it kind of gets into the whole like political power and corporations run the, kind of, if you're a corporation, you have a lot of money, you can run politics.
Yeah, I've seen kind of what you're talking about, that scene where they're at the driving range.
Yeah, the driving range.
Yeah.
But then you get to see kind of where you do get a background of John Pilgrim and what he did, and he kind of has to go back to some of his associates from back in the day.
Yep.
And you see kind of what he used to be before he became this, devout follower, and kind of what he was, and you realize like this character is more than just what you see.
Right. And that's kind of the reason why I mentioned that I wish that he would have been utilized a little bit more earlier on, because like Scott said, it wasn't until episode 9 that I learned about who this guy's connections are. He knows people in the city. He changed who he was. And he has to go back to those people because they have this huge contract now out on Frank Castle and that girl that he's protecting.
Yeah.
So you get to see this like really badass side to him, to where he's faced, to have to defend himself or they're going to kill him because they know who this guy is. He stole money from them, blah, 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 blah. And I thought that was so cool because you get to see a totally different side of the character that they had not showed us before. And you get to see how lethal he really is.
Yeah. I will say this.
He reminded me of Frank, the way that he carried himself in that fight.
Exactly. He is very much a Frank type of person. I think it's wasted when it is, but his arc is the final arc of this series. Like, the way that it goes, I'll say this. I really don't like how Billy's arc ends throughout the series. I think that it could have been more. It falls flat. And then when you
that to me is disappointing, though. Like, especially it's just sounding, just because Jigsaw is basically the Punisher's primary rogue.
Yeah,
and I think that's disappointing to kind of hear that.
Yeah. So it doesn't. I mean, I'll put it this way: for this series, it works well. Like he gets a fitting end for the series, but I really would have liked it to be a bigger thing.
What?
And then John Pilgrim gets a really awesome, like, these last 3 things are just all him versus Punisher, basically. And it's this cat and mouse game between those two at the very end. And there's this amazing scene where they're in different hotel rooms and they're in a hotel, like, trying to kill each other, like, between walls, like, shoot through the wall to try to kill each other. That goes on for a lot longer than you would expect, like a hotel shootout. That is amazing. And I was like, I really want, I wanted more of that side of cat and mouse versus what we got.
Yeah.
But his arc is very slow, and you see him in powerful moments, and then the last couple of episodes, he ramps up and becomes like a fucking Terminator at the end of it, where it's amazing.
Yeah, and I appreciate you not giving us the details about how the Billy Russo thing wraps up, but I kind of agree with Jeremy that I feel like going into this season, I thought Billy Russo was going to be the primary villain. I thought they were going to try to build him up into like supervillain status for Punisher because of what happened the last season. He's got all this revenge now that he wants to take on Punisher. But, and I feel like they could have used Pilgrim to sort of be Russo's kind of like hitman, maybe. Or they team up and, Russo sort of uses his expertise to lure out Frank or something like that.
So here's one thing that they did with the trailers, made it seem like those two were going to team up. Like when you watch the trailers for season 2, they made it seem like there was going to be a team up of some point.
They totally did.
The good news is these are 2 completely separate arcs. Okay. Like the way that the Punisher goes in this one is they are 2 separate interactions that are not they don't interconnect in the way that you think they would. Like Punisher's fighting 2 different fronts here, and they never cross over.
Okay.
Which is good. Like I was really worried that I was going to get, Pilgrim Russo team up versus the Punisher, and we don't get that. It becomes like at different points in time, these people are attacking Frank. He never gets a break because he's fighting two fronts at the same time.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I still want to. I was, it's one of those shows that I can't stop watching, and I'm trying to get through the end of it because I just want to, see how it all ends. It's a show that I'm really, really liking. So even though the negative things I've said, I mean, it's still great.
Mm-hmm.
Bernthal does awesome. The guy that plays Russo, I don't know the actor's name, but he's great.
He does a really good job.
I really like Curtis. I think Curtis is an awesome supporting character for Punisher. And it's kind of like that human element that Frank needs around him.
Yeah, he's the voice of reason that I think Frank needs. Like, Frank's idea is, I'm just going to kill everybody. And Curtis is, dude, there might be another way to approach the situation. And, hey, remember all those good times that you had when you still actually cared about the world?
Right. I will say, though, man, the main girl in this drives me nuts at the beginning.
She never gets better. She does a bunch of stupid fucking decisions.
Jeez.
Like, the dude that killed like 30 people in your presence, maybe listen to that fucking guy.
Yeah.
Once in a while. Like, stop trying to be like, I'm just going to go my own way. Like, I'll spoil this at some point. When she finds out that he's the Punisher, she's like, oh, cool. Like, you're going to kill everybody. Like, I'm great to be with you. But she still doesn't do what he fucking says. Like, like, let the dude that's a fucking master killer do his goddamn job. Like, he's here to protect you.
That's the thing.
Do what he fucking says.
Yeah. Within the first or second episode, you get to see, Frank protects this girl and, like, legit kicks some serious ass with these assassins that are after her. But she treats him like total shit after that. Like, get the fuck away from me.
In the first 2 episodes, I think he probably wastes a good 50 people.
Just to save her.
Here's the thing.
Yes.
Up to that point, I get it, because he does flat out use that girl as bait. Like, he's like, I know some people are after you, and they're going to keep coming. So I'm going to strap you to a bed and, like, make myself known so that you come to try to kill her so I can kill them back.
Yeah.
Like, it's that thing. The scenes says in the thing, does anyone miss Microchip not being in season 2? Yeah. Like, I really wanted Micro back.
That's what I was going to ask you, Scott. I'm like, do we actually get a Micro cameo at all?
At no point do we get a Micro.
I was really surprised.
I will say this. One of the best things is we do get the one person who has been in every season of one of the Netflix shows.
Yeah.
Turk Bennett does make his comeback. So we get a Turk and oh god, now I'm forgetting her name. Like, I had it on the top of my tongue.
Get Madani?
We have Madani back, right, from the first season. Karen Page shows back up for one episode of this season. Or maybe 2 episodes. So those are the only 2 kind of recurring characters other than the main recurring Punisher cast. But yeah, surprisingly, Micro, who plays a huge part of the Punisher's life in the comics, does not come back for the season.
I was really surprised that Micro was not in here because, like Scott said, he's kind of like like the
guy that gets all the guns.
Batman. Yeah, he's like Batman's Oracle. He gives Frank information. He helps set up like new weapons and stuff. I mean, he is like Frank's right-hand man for all the techno stuff that Frank doesn't know as much about.
Yeah, so I'm really surprised that we don't get to see him again.
Yeah, so not really. Outside of his bashing Billy's face into a wall a couple of times and everything, we don't get a lot of season 1 callbacks. Surprisingly,
yeah. Are we gonna say?
So I'll say kind of to that point though. So about this time so it was about a week after the fact that after the 3rd season of Daredevil dropped, we heard about the cancellation of Daredevil. So we haven't heard anything yet with Punisher. So do we think that this show is going to be safe? Maybe it's going to reside on Netflix, and that's where it's home, just because of the uber violent nature that it is. Like I said,
Yeah.
that first episode, that like I said, he's freaking wasting everybody in that bar.
Yeah. Oh god, the bar scene. So yeah, and I think like people like Iron Fist, Luke Cage, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, all those characters can be portrayed in like a PG realm that I think Disney would love to have a part of, right? Like those are things that Disney can bring on and be safe in putting those things on. Given Disney's rules about kind of nothing rated R kind of aspect of things, I don't know if I could see them trying to be like, oh, we're gonna put on our Disney streaming service that we're trying to create, like fucking just you already have some of the big hitters. Like, why? That's another discussion.
Yeah.
Like, why are you trying to bring these characters that have a good station on? Like, Daredevil was perfect where it was, but like Punisher has an outlet that they can use to have him in his glory.
Yes.
And I don't think they're going to want to put a person that has a body count of like 300 people by the end of the season. Like, Frank kills a shit ton of people. And if you think, like, I would love to have somebody actually count how many people he kills between each season, because it's got to be staggering.
It's a lot.
No, it's nuts. It's nuts.
I wonder if
like,
Netflix did that on purpose. They're like, hey, you know what? Disney's going to take these characters. Let's ramp the hell out of this so that when Disney tries to remake it, everybody's going to remember how violent we were able to make it at Netflix.
Certain things, like, I started, like, things that made me laugh out loud in the season was he teaches this girl how to, like, disarm people. And you're like, like, he teaches her how to disarm. He teaches her how to basically disarm somebody who's pointing a gun at her head. And then he's like, when you do this, the second that you get that gun in your hand, you pull the trigger. Some dude puts a gun in her head later on, like 6 episodes later. She does the move, and she uses a Barrett, or not a Barrett, a Desert Eagle 50, and just belts this guy in the chest.
Oh, yeah.
And she comes up, and she's freaking out because she killed a guy. And so, you think Disney version would be like, he tries to calm her down, they try to save the guy or whatever. Good old Netflix Daredevil or Punisher version is he takes the gun from her hands, shoots the guy in the face, and says, "You didn't kill him, I did." So I don't really think that Disney's going to put like that type of writing on their system, and also on the same platform where they have child-friendly stuff.
Well, yeah.
So I think Punisher has a good housing in Netflix to keep it there, where they can show what they want and show that gory nature of that character, and not have it be something that sullies their name or gives them that rated R aspect.
No, I agree. I actually think out of all the shows, I think this is the show that's actually going to be safe, and I think it's popular enough to where it'll keep people on the. It'll keep it mainstream. I actually think this show will stay here, just because there's no, like Scott, to your point, I said there's no way Disney is going to touch this character with a 10-foot pole. With the murdering aspect of, like I said, that first episode, he kills probably at least 50 guys. Yeah. Like I said, in one episode, the kickoff of the season.
Yeah, he kills so many people. His hands are drenched with blood.
Yeah. The best part is when he sees they try to roadblock him, and he pulls up. The girl's like, "What are you gonna do?" And he just leans out the window and just fucking spray and prays 3 or 4 people down, and then kills him to try to get his like one night stand,
and then shoot the other guy.
Like he just, you see a character that doesn't give a shit.
That's one thing I love about this, though. Oh. He just has no he does not give a shit. He's just like, you are fucking dead.
Yeah. So at the end, I told you guys before we started this that I have to talk about the last scene. Neither of you guys have gotten to this point. This has no bearing on story, right? I'm not going to talk about what happens, how anything wraps up. But one of the last scenes of the thing does set up for what we say is a comic book Punisher, right? So, very last scene is Frank getting a call being like, "Hey, this is the CIA, and we have this person that we want you to kill." And he's like, "Nah, I'm already on a job," which is very Punisher comic book, right? Like super comic book. He walks there. Then cuts to a warehouse where you have two gangs arguing over who called who for a buy, because one person doesn't want to sell, one person doesn't want to buy. They can't figure out what it is. All of a sudden, you hear, "Hey!" Frank walks in, two M16s, and just mows everybody down while going, "Oh!" Like dual, like akimbo, like M16s mows everybody down. It is one of the best Punisher. Like if you screenshotted him with the two M16s, it could be a fucking cover for a Punisher comic book.
I think John Berthel actually posted that image out before the season dropped.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. The two M16s, like in the Punisher, he has the bulletproof vest with the skull on it, and the fucking leather trench coat, and just walks in and just mows down a group of like 30 people with two M16s at the end of it. And you realize at the end of this one, you realize he has given up this whole moral high ground. Do I do this? Do I not? Question. And he has become the comic book version of the Punisher, right?
Nice.
Like you commit a crime, I will kill you so that you cannot continue to commit crimes.
No.
Like he becomes the Punisher in the last like 2 minutes of the TV show, and it is fucking glorious. And I would love a season where we have a villain of the week where he just destroys different mobs or goes after different crime things. Like I would love a season 3 where we don't have an overarching story, where we just have, Black Mirror style. Here's the bad guy. Here's who Frank kills. How does he do it?
Just rinse and repeat.
Different bad guys.
I honestly think, I said I have a good feeling that we will get a season 3 because I don't think the show's moving. Like I said Daredevil. I said it was a weekend, and they said they were going to cancel it, and
we haven't heard that yet.
We haven't heard anything about that yet.
Yeah, I have to agree with Jeremy on this one. I don't know if Disney's going to want to touch this at all.
Yeah, it's hard for Disney. Like Disney has that whole idea of what's good and wholesome and what's what can we show. They're not going to show a character like the Punisher, and you can't have a version of the Punisher who's like, I don't shoot to kill, I only wound people, and like I use rubber bullets. Like, that doesn't work as that character. Like, you need an outlet that will let you show the
brutality,
the brutality and the death of a person like that.
Yeah, and I think that's what I was saying earlier. I think that's why Netflix kind of took it to the level they did to show, look what we are willing to do for this character. We can, Punisher can live in our world how he should. Because if you read the comics, this is the Punisher that you know. And people don't want to give that up to get a Disney dumbed down version.
We'll say a Disney-fied version that uses not real guns and nobody died because they all wore body armor. Like, no, I want the Punisher that puts a shotgun point blank to a dude's face and pulls the trigger without hesitation.
This is the Punisher that I would expect.
Yeah, or that in a bar fight puts a knife, sticking straight up, and then shoves the guy's skull on top of it.
Ooh.
Somebody said Punisher is more violent than Deadpool yet. Yeah.
Oh yes.
Like Deadpool is like over the top violent. Punisher is like, oh, so that's really what it looks that I could imagine that's what it looks like when you put a shotgun barrel in a person's mouth and pull the trigger.
Yeah, Punisher is like realistic violence. Like it is almost disturbing sometimes to see him kill people the way he does. Like that scene that Jeremy's just talking about, the knife, and just like, ooh,
where he just starts guy's thing, and
it just makes you cringe. Like, God, it looked like it hurt.
Or just the like I said, going back to that first season when he's in the bathroom with the people and he's just pops that chick in the shoulder with the knife and like twists it. You're like, oh shit! Like,
Yeah, and she lets out that horrible scream.
That
She's like,
horrible scream of like pain when he stabs her and twists the knife. You're like, oh God, like that is what that probably is really sounds like.
Or like I
and
said, just that bodyguard in that first. Like I said, I keep on going back to that first episode just because that's the freshest in my mind. Still, is like I said, that bodyguard that they had at the bar, who like I said was
Oh,
this
man.
huge dude. You think like it's gonna be like an ally and can
Oof.
help off. He gets stabbed so many times.
Dude,
he gets stabbed,
and
he gets shot.
But
Yeah.
dude, he messes some people up too.
He
like,
does.
Yeah.
for things. But I will say this: one of the scenes, I think it's in episode 13, where you have a fucked up John Pilgrim versus a fucked up Punisher. Right? They've gone through hell in their respective stories, and they get into a fist fight in that 13th episode. And at one point, I think the Punisher said, he's like, all right, do you need a breather or are we going to do this? You feel every hit that each of them takes. And it is so guttural. And you're like, oh, shit. Like when they take those hits, because these are people that are, they've had injuries for 12 episodes previous that they're trying to get in a fist fight. And it is gory in the right places, and just you feel what these people are going through.
It's very visceral. Like it's
very visceral. I think
So,
if you guys have been listening to us for the last 30 minutes, you know that we are highly recommending this show.
Yeah. So here's what I'll say. Jeremy, you said that you like season 1 better. Nate, you said you like season 1 better. I'll put this. I don't like season 1 better overall. Here's what I'll put it. Story-wise, season 1 was better, but action-wise and kind of like individual like plot points, I actually like season 2 a little bit better. Like I think that it puts action where it needs to be to keep that story fresh better in season 2 than it did in season 1. Those action scenes were few and far between.
Like I can get on the for that.
Yeah. Like one of the best scenes is, you said you're on 4 or 5, is he's been arrested for one of the many times that he gets arrested in these storylines in the second season, when he's at the police station and he's locked up and he keeps telling the I guess the sheriff there, he's like, let me go. Like, let me go. Let me do my thing. He's like, if you want to live through this, let me go. Let me do my thing. And when he finally does, and you see him they're under siege, and he just takes out like 30 people in the forest that are trying to like, kill everybody in this police station, right? Like you walk through this thing and you see him for what he is. Yeah. That is probably one of the best scenes ever, because, they're trying to be the good guys and like keep this murderer locked down, and you keep hearing him say, dude, let me go. I will go out there and do what I do. Let me do what I do.
Yeah. You know what? I'm hoping that they make some pops from Punisher season 2, because if they do, I would pre-order it at shumistore.com and make sure I save 10% using code STS Guys. Don't forget that, guys. If you like pops, make sure you go to shumistore.com. Save 10% by using code STS Guys. They'll ship your pop in a pop protector, and who knows, they may make Punisher season 2 pops.
They need to, because that jigsaw mask that he wears, I want that shit.
Yeah,
definitely.
That's awesome.
Like, that mask is utterly amazing.
If you guys
like a pop with that mask,
two thumbs way up.
You talk about Shumi Store. Like I said, it sounds like they have like almost like an online presence. Like it sounds like they're on maybe some multi different platforms as well. Am I right?
That's right. Yeah, and like we are, like the STS Guys, we're on multiple platforms.
Whoa.
Yeah, we're on Instagram at STS Guys. We're on Twitter at STS Guys. We're on Facebook at the STS Guys. We have a website, stsguys.com. If you like our YouTube channel, stsguys.online, hit the subscribe button, hit notification button so you don't miss our content. And this has been Nate with the STS Guys.
Chilling like a villain. Good
Well,
jump in.
honestly, Nate, I have to give you mad props with that because not only did you mention all of our social media, but I think you up Larry and got STSguys.com and STSguys.online.
Yes. Man, I knew Larry wasn't going to be here tonight. I'm like, all right, I got to get this right.
You got to
I went
practice
back.
because you knew I was going to fuck it up if I tried it. So
Yeah.
I went back and
You-
watched a previous episode and kind of tried to mimic
I
what
lost
Larry
my
was
train
doing.
of thought at least twice in this and just started rambling to make up for it.
I just see Nate practicing in front of a mirror this entire time.
He's like,
"Okay, got this." He
STS
gives himself a
guy
pep talk.
Yeah.
at STS Guys, and you can find us online at the STS Facebook, the STS.
Take 15 and go.
Like shit, which one is
Yeah.
at and which one is at the?
But that has been a punishing episode and one full of lots of dead people.
So let's just do too long didn't read for anybody who skips to the end. Resident Evil 2, amazing. Go watch Punisher season 2. There we go.
2 thumbs way up from the STS
Absolutely.
guys.
In both sides.
So
Go check out both gory ass fucking things.
So for episode 69 of the STS Guys, I have been Jeremy.
Hey guys, it's been Nate.
And I'm Scott.
And we are the STS Guys. Have a great night, everyone.
Bye.